The Travers Stakes is coming up this weekend, and it is the first of 5 races that VSIN will preview leading up to the Breeders' Cup races November 2nd and 3rd at Churchill Downs. That is in November, and the Travers, of course, is at Saratoga. And we welcome in Eddie Olczyk, NBC, with a 2-hour broadcast coming out of Saratoga this week, 4 to 6 o'clock. Not only are they going to show you the Travers, but you're going to be able to see the Sword Dancer race. And if you go to XPressBet.com/Brent, use the promo code Brent20. Right now, XPressBet, you'll get a $20 bonus, and you can go to work on this Saturday's card. Eddie, my friend, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brent. I think I might need to use that Brent 20 because I got emptied out this last couple of days. So hopefully this weekend I'll be able to replenish my XPressBet account. Nice to be with you. And just for the record, I was in your fine city for the last 5 days. So I just got home from I guess in the wagering aspect of it and playing the horses. I got my head handed to me, but you know what? That happens sometimes.
Yeah, yes, it does. But I know because I watch you always on those NBC broadcasts, and you've been damn good on the big races, Eddie. I have to tell you that. I always wait for who does Eddie like in this exact, Ron. And it's awesome.
Let's hope this weekend we can replenish the XPressBet account. But it's always great to be with you, Brent. Thanks for having me.
All right, Eddie. Good magic. After winning the Haskell, 2-1 morning line favorite. I think you'll be bet shorter than that. But you got a lot of intrigue in this race. Tenfold is in. Hofberg is out. And there's no obvious pace setter in this race. And you got a filly in here, too, named Wonder Godot that finished second in the Kentucky Oaks. So, all right, I've laid out the bullet points. Now lay out the race.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that there's a little bit more pace in here than a lot of people feel. I mean, Mendelssohn is in here. I think that, he comes off of his race on July the 7th at Belmont Park in the Dwyer where he faded after going pretty quick for 3/4 of a mile where he went just under 1 minute and 10 seconds. I think the filly is going to be very, very forwardly placed. So I think there's a little bit more pace in here. You mentioned Tenfold. What's the horse on the rail going to do?
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning, excuse me. So I see this race kind of developing quickly, and for the horses that I'm thinking about, certainly the faster the pace, the better. But I think it's a wide open board, and yeah, I agree with you. I think that Good Magic certainly will be a lot shorter than 2-1. If you can get 7-5 or 8-5, I think that would be a gift. But we'll see where the money comes, and sometimes you got to take what the track gives you.
Eddie, Vinny Maiulo, did enjoy your work as always at the Arlington $1 million card. By the way, otherwise known as the Chad Brown Invitational, as we. But again, Chad Brown's going to be a factor here. We've been talking about Good Magic, and. How much credit and credence do you put when you're breaking down races? Do you really what percentage, if you will, do you put in with the trainer, Eddie?
Well, it's a great question. It's great to be with you, Vinny. I certainly look at it, but I look at more so when I'm handicapping the races. I look at class. I look at how I see the race is going to play out. But look, anytime you have a conditioner like Chad Brown, whether it's on the turf or dirt, I mean, he's a tremendous trainer, and you could argue he's the best turf trainer that we have in North America without question.
Yes.
And you look at some of his dirt runners that he's had, including Good Magic, including Gronkowski, who I think is going to run a big race in the Travers coming up on Saturday. It does play into it, but I like to look at the video. I like to see what I see in the daily racing form, and regardless of who the trainer may be, I'm not going to, think twice about putting my money on a guy that might be on a hot streak or a guy that, maybe is in a run of 1 for 25 or 30. Certainly that would play into it. Maybe I don't press as much. But for me, when you see these big-time trainers and they're going to some of these races, like you said, I mean, he swept the Arlington Million and the Beverly D last year. He did the same thing this year.
Yes.
It certainly brings notice when you see a guy like Chad Brown or Bob Baffert or Todd Pletcher going to the grade ones.
All right, got to ask you about 2 horses that are going to get some attention for different reasons. Mendelssohn is back. You know, we just saw a Kentucky Derby last place finisher finish last in the Juddmonte Invitational or International this morning.
Right.
So here he comes in, as you mentioned, off of his performance in the Dwyer. But I actually think more important to this, especially based on what you're suggesting to be a fair amount of speed in the race, despite the fact we might not know who the pace setter will be.
Right.
So who might be the closer? And I'm wondering, Todd Pletcher hasn't had the greatest summer with his stakes winners coming back, but could Vino Rosso be a factor closing in this race?
Well, I think he can. I mean, it was just really his last race in the Jim Dandy back on the 28th of July was it was a funny race where it looked like he was rolling, and then it looked like he just kind of backed off a little bit, and then Johnny Velasquez got him going again, and then he made this huge run, you know. So I mean, he may be the type of horse where you got to sit, and then just make that one run. So, you know, the race on Saturday, I mean, it's going to be I think it's a mile and a quarter. So maybe the mile and a quarter race becomes maybe just a 3/8 mile run for a horse like Vino Rosso, or even a half a mile run where you just let him gallop along and you say, okay, press button and let him go, and then you just try to bypass horses as you can. I mean, I think Gronkowski too is another horse that I think you have to look at seriously. People that I've talked to said he's been training very well. You know, he only got beat a length and 3/4 to Justify. We all know the resume for Justify and Bob Baffert, and we haven't seen Gronk since, you know, June the 9th. So, but I think that, you know, those are two horses without question that want a fast pace, that being Vino Rosso and that being Gronkowski. And I think that Good Magic, and we talked about Chad Brown trains the Gronk as well. He's got Good Magic. He can be able to, I think he's very tactical. I don't think he wants to be on the lead. I think he wants to have a target. I think he's going to get a target. I was on the other side of the fence. My colleagues at NBC, Randy Moss, and of course Hall of Famer Jerry Bailey, who would know much more than I do when it comes to sitting on the back of a thoroughbred, is the ride that Jose Ortiz gave Good Magic in the Preakness, trying to go eyeball to eyeball with Justify, cost him a better placing. He's run 8 races in his life. The only time he's been out of the money is when he went eyeball to eyeball with Justify and ended up finishing 4th, and then that's when Bravazzo and Tenfold kind of sucked up in the slop. So I think Good Magic could be tactical. He's going to get a target, and I don't like playing favorites, but I'm certainly going to have to use Good Magic up and down in the Travers on Saturday.
Eddie, talk to me about XPressBet, because they offer live horse wagering on more than 300 tracks, and they got live HD video up there. This has got to be the place to go if you want to put a bob or two on one of the thoroughbreds.
Well, without a doubt, Brent. I mean, I've been with XPressBet for, let me do the math here real quick. I think I've been with XPressBet almost 17 years. And, like, I'm not tech savvy by any stretch, but to be able to go on my phone or to be able to go on my computer and to be able to watch the races, like you said, it's really easy. I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's easy to hit, you know, repeat, rebet. When, you know, you're pressing on a superfecta or you're pressing on an exacta. They're just tremendous people. I've had a long-lasting relationship with them, and any time that I'm getting my feet wet, there's a pretty good chance that Eddie Olczyk is going to XPressBet, and they've been just tremendous. So it's right there for you. You know, if you're not tech savvy, you can always get on the phone and make a call and place a wager. So you're right, Brent. That is the place to go, XPressBet, without question.
And some of the other races ahead of us, Eddie, the Pennsylvania Derby, awesome again, Santa Anita Sprint, Queen Elizabeth, and then, of course, the big ones at the Breeders' Cup, Churchill Downs on November 2nd and November 3rd. So all of those horses will be involved that you and Ron and Vinny have been talking about all year. It's the best of the best. They'll meet up in November, and I know you always look forward to the Breeders' Cup Championships.
Yes, I do, Brent, and even more so this year. And this past February, I was lucky enough to win the first ever Pegasus handicapping tournament down at Gulfstream, and not only winning the tournament, but what one of the caveats that came with it, Brent, is I got a free seat into the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, and if for some possible reason, and if I can get the stars aligned in that first weekend of November, if somehow I can go back-to-back with the Pegasus and the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, which I think there'll probably be 365 handicappers in that, is there's $1 million bonus on the line, courtesy of the folks at the Pegasus in Gulfstream Park. So not only work-wise of getting ready for the Breeders' Cup, but also handicapping and wagering-wise, is that if I could somehow win the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, not only winning that tournament as well, but also double, get the daily double with the $1 million bonus from the people at Gulfstream Park. So very exciting times coming up in early November, without question.
All right, so saddle up with Eddie Olczyk. Sign up with XPressBet. Get that $20 bonus. Go to expressbet.com/Brent. Use the promo code Brent20. Eddie Olczyk needs a 20. The week didn't go that well here in Vegas. Hey, Eddie, I always love it, my friend. Take care, and good luck with coming up with a winner at the Travers. I'll be watching.
All right, Brent. Great being with you. See you guys.
Take care, Eddie.
Guys.
Outstanding.
Eddie Olczyk, what a he's a wonderful person.
He does a great job, I have to tell
and
you.
on hockey as well, because he's a hockey guy. We know that. Great player, coach.
I watched I watched the broadcast when he was at Arlington. And the local guy too. So he had some local ties to it and weaved them in. It was beautiful.
Yeah, $1 million? Get $1 million bonus? That could be hockey money for him almost.
Exactly.
You get back to that level, huh?
So there you have it. XPressBet sponsoring up with VSIN and all those races I mentioned, Eddie. We're going to have a special guest on to talk about them with Vinny and Ron as we go forward toward the Breeders' Cup here every Friday. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.